If you want to hear about St. Louis, tune in to the Bucket List Show weekly. Hear what Marissa and Luke say. It drops every Wednesday. Got a dope new guest every single week. Buckle up for the ride. Who's it gonna be? Who's on the show today? They rep St. Louis. What to do in the loo on a late night, or maybe what to do on a date night. Yeah, Bucket List has you covered. They know what's going on. What's going on? They'll give you, hey, 18 different things to do, or 19 if you need one more to choose. Yeah, this city is a place we call home. A place we call home, yeah.
What's up, St. Louis? Thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of the STL Bucket List Show. I am your host, Marissa Farrell.
And I am your other host, Luke Farrell. And we have a special episode planned for today. But first, I give a shout out to my sponsors. We got Matt in the back at Half Coast Studios. They always produce a perfect episode for us to put out on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, every single platform. And then, of course, the Regional Arts Commission of St. Louis. They're the largest public funder of arts and art programs right here in St. Louis. And when you support art,
you support St. Louis.
So that actually leads into our guest that we have. We have the Regional Arts Commission in studio today. We're almost at a year of episodes, so we had to bring our presenting sponsors back in. We have Chloe Smith. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you.
And then we have Jay Schroeder. Thank you for coming.
Glad to be back.
Returning, yes.
Our first second-time guest.
I know.
Who would have thought?
Oh,
Really?
my gosh.
Who would have thought?
What an honor. I hope I get a plaque.
Yeah, I'm like, we need a trophy.
This probably won't be the last time. I'll probably be in here in 2 months when something will come up. Hey, I need to come back through. I need to come
back.
So I know we have a special episode. So this episode is going to be geared towards the people that listen to our show that are artists in the city, and even people that know artists, to get more information on how to write a grant, how to even go through the process. But I want to read a couple stats that I pulled from your guys' website about last year, and then we can just roll right into it.
Do it.
So in 2022, the Regional Arts Commission of St. Louis granted more than $1.15 million in new grant funding for local artists and art programming across the region. That's more than 90 art programs and 85 individual artists that received financial support. And then as of 2 days ago, you guys just opened your applications for program support and artist grants on February 13th. So Chloe, Jay, whoever wants to go first, if you guys could just first educate our listeners a little bit more on what the RAC STL mission is.
Absolutely. The core of what we do, the heart of what we do, is grant making. It's been that way since 1985. We were so lucky to be able to give away $1.15 million, not too long ago, but that was after having a huge break due to the pandemic. So that was the first time that we were able to give out money. So to be able to do it again now in a more regular cycle that we're used to is a great step forward for sure. So we're really looking forward, to this year. We already expect to have many more applications. We've seen a huge uptick in all of the webinars that we've held on how to apply for a grant. So we're really thinking it's going to be a busy year, which is great because, that's what we want.
Absolutely. I agree with that 100%. I just been seeing more people talk about it. And especially like we were talking off air before is like, how can we get more artists to talk about it? Because these programs that you guys have supported for years, they know the process. They have people in-house that can actually write these applications. So let me ask you a question as an artist. So, I'm an artist. I am interested in filing a grant. Chloe, if you could just go into basically how do we do that?
What's the process like? What is the grant? How does that help them? All the steps.
Yeah. So, I think if you're an artist support grant would be of interest to you if you're looking to fund a project, an opportunity, or a need is kind of what we say. So a need would be like any supplies that you're looking to get. And an opportunity would be like if you want to go study abroad to, further your artistic practice or a project. Like what do you want to do within the community with your own creative artistic skills? And so that's where people would really come to us and they can apply for anywhere up to $7,500 this year, which is a big up from last year. What was it? 5,000 last year?
Last year.
Yeah, it was the top. So then you could just come to our website, find the application. There's a link. You'll take an eligibility quiz and you can begin applying. But we, of course, would suggest that you reference all of the materials on the website that we put together to kind of prep people. Specifically, the guidelines are very helpful, and they have all of the information that anyone would need to apply within those.
Yeah, and you and I were talking earlier about how this needs to be an equitable experience.
Yeah.
So part of that is you're helping of writing the application. So talk us through like how that works.
Yeah, so we host webinars, and they're all at this point recorded and up on the website. So you can just go to RAC's YouTube and watch them. They'll talk you through how to write a narrative. All of the questions this year, there are 9 questions on the application. They are all narratives. So that'll walk you through how to answer every question. And then, I mean, honestly, I think it's just being honest in your application with what you're looking to do, what's possible. But as far as equitable processes go, you know, we work really hard on the internal side to just make sure that the review process is equitable and fair. We train reviewers on biases and all of that great stuff. So we just try to make sure everybody is prepped and feels confident when turning in their application.
And I think when people hear the word grant and then they think about an application for a grant, their head starts to hurt because a lot of grant applications are extremely long and they come with all kinds of strings. And so I've had a couple of conversations. I had one with somebody at our market that we had with the bucket list not too long ago that they didn't think they should apply for a grant. Grant is not even a word that registers in their head.
Like overwhelmed?
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
When I told them that there's only like, what, 9 questions?
9 questions.
I didn't know that. That's
There's 9
nine.
questions.
That's a good little
So it's
one-liner.
like anyone can answer 9 questions, and especially for the fact that we give you absolutely every resource in the world
Everything
to
you need.
help you fill out those 9 questions. Do we still let people send in applications for review before if they need us to look at them?
Yeah, so we have a
too.
pre-application deadline. Thanks, Jay. That'll be probably a couple of days after this. I think it's February 20th.
Okay, I was going to ask that when the deadline was.
So it's like already the questions are up on the website. So you can see all 9 questions on the website. They've been up there for at least a couple weeks.
Yeah, it's been there a while.
Yeah, so you should have been able to prep all of your questions, and then you have 5 days to kind of write some rough answers. You can send them in, and then we'll provide feedback to everybody. It's required for program support grantees, but it's optional for artists. So you don't have to submit the pre-deadline, but you can. You're welcome to do it. Yeah, do it, especially if it's your first time. Yeah, because, I mean, just get the feedback. It'll help you out.
And last year we had the people that out of the artist support grants, we had 60% of the artist support grants last year were completely new to the process, which is great. We want that. I mean, certainly we want to support all the artists in the area year over year if we can. But for the fact that we had 60% that were new, and that's because we came out of the pandemic, we started making noise again, saying, look, we're here, we're ready to help everybody. And so this last year, we've continued that mission and continued to grow. I'm hopeful more people know about us than even last year. And then that number goes up, and the more people we can serve goes up just because more people know about it.
I agree. And I think that, you know, what you guys had just mentioned with, you know, the 9 questions, the simplicity of the process. So applications launch, you know, the 13th, today's the 15th, but, you know, they can submit that pre-application. Does that go to your guys' team, or do you, and then you look at it and say, hey, let's change a few things before we send this off?
That goes to the people that are writing the application.
Okay.
So if
they
anybody,
know exactly what
we know exactly what we're looking for. We know exactly what you need to be saying, and we'll give you all of the tips and pointers we can once you submit that application, the pre-app.
And then we have a whole group of reviewers, and they're all just community people that enjoy helping out the arts, enjoy helping the Regional Arts Commission of St. Louis. So, you know, we have these folks that are from all walks of life that are looking at your project, at your need from very different angles. So it's not one of those things that you're just going in front of a bunch of you know, art-minded people per se that have a very specific box they want you to be in. These are very different people that are reviewing these, and we give them lots of really great guidelines to help them through that process, which are all based on the things that we give artists and arts programs to be able to fill this thing out. So we are in the business of trying to make everybody succeed, not try to weed people out along the way. That's not what we want. We want them to
bring
get the
people
grant.
in. Yeah. What would you say is people's typically like their biggest fear when it comes to the grant? Like, is it just like, oh my gosh, like how do I answer the questions? Like, what is it that like makes them maybe more fearful to actually apply?
I mean, I think it could just be the fear of rejection of that, like, I'm going to do all of this work, which I don't have anyway because I'm an artist and I'm trying to make ends meet.
That's why I'm here. Yeah.
That's why I'm here. And then, I put in all this work and I don't get anything for it. Which I mean, is a very real fear, but I feel like we really do a good job of putting up all the resources that people need on the website well in advance so that they can feel prepared.
Yeah.
And I mean, we're always there. Our emails are on the website. You can reach out to us and we'll answer any questions we can.
Awesome.
Yeah. Grants at racstl.org.
Yeah.
It's very easy. It goes to our entire grants team. And I think the other big fear there too, and I spoke about it just a minute ago, is just that fear of being overwhelmed, that fear of like, I can't apply for a grant. Like, who's going to give me a grant? Because they don't think what they do is to that level for some reason. They don't understand that, we gave out a grant last year to Jess Dugan, the photographer. They're incredible. They needed computer equipment. Because as a photographer, you have to stay current on not only your camera equipment itself, but also storage and processing ability to be able to edit. Photos that are so huge that take up so much space on your computer.
Absolutely.
So we gave them that grant.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people think that you have to
Have a
paint a
specific
big mural
project.
on the side of the wall, on the side of some building, and that's the only thing that we're going to grant.
That's
but I mean,
true.
the programs, the projects, the needs are
Yeah.
so varied.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they're all across the board. Like, I mean, I think we had an application last year where their studio had flooded. And so they needed help with repairs. And so your goal in the application is to say how that, even though it's not necessarily an artistic project, helps further your artistic career goals. How is it helping you as an individual? Because that's really what we're looking for your application to tell us.
I think that's super valuable because, when you think about it, you just think about specific projects, and that story about the computer is huge because, it's the tools that now Jess Dugan is probably out here creating amazing work with that new system,
Exactly.
So,
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people just forget that, or they don't feel that that's what a grant is. But it really does vary. And because it's 9 questions, I mean, yes, we want you to attach a budget and different things, but we really try to make it easy. So, to anyone out there that's questioning whether or not they should apply for a grant, do it. Because I think, we did say no to some folks last year, but it wasn't really based on their project wasn't good enough. Their ask wasn't good enough. Like, the base of what they wanted was great. They just didn't really give us all the information we needed. They didn't really follow the process the way that it needed to be done. But as we increase education out there and provide more resources, we really do hope that we'll be able to give out much more grant money than we did even last year to more people because of that education. So I would just say, don't be afraid. I mean, apply. The worst thing that could happen is we say no. The best thing is we give you several $1,000s.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you try again next year.
Exactly. Yeah.
So talk to us a little bit about some of the programs that are offered, because you mentioned something about like if someone wanted to travel abroad and develop their skills. Like, is that like self-driven? Like, I want to go study in Italy, like what? Or is that a program that you guys have that someone would go through?
Got it. So that would be self-driven or like a external program that you want to participate in. So that, that could be anywhere from like, teachers wanting to go off and learn more. What is that called? Why am I not? Sabbatical. Yeah, like if you want to go study to figure out how you can, improve what you're doing. So these grants are designed to be flexible. Yeah. They're pretty much for whatever you want them to be for. One of the big kind of barriers we were presented with last year was we had some artists that were writers and they were like, we need a computer and we need time and space. Like, how can you do that? And so we've kind of figured out that, artists can apply for an artist stipend. They can pay themselves. They can literally put in the work to figure out how much they want to pay themselves per hour, and you can apply for that. They're designed to be completely used for whatever you want them to be used for. And if you're having a question or a concern, like just reach out to us and we'll try to figure out how you can work it into the application. But it all just comes back to how is it going to further your artistic practice? Because that's what we want to see more of in St. Louis.
I agree. And I think one question that artists, as if like I keep putting myself in the shoes of an artist, one question that I would have is do I have to be a full-time artist? Do I have to have a certain track record? Like, are those like things that, you know, are in that application? Or
so we do have eligibility requirements.
Yeah.
You do have to be above 19. You know, you can't be a grad or an undergraduate student. So there are certain requirements. We do ask that you've presented work within the past 3 years, and you can kind of provide documentation of that through a resume or a CV. But you don't have to be a full-time artist. It doesn't have to be your full-time job. I mean, you can have a full-time job and apply. It's in our definition of artist, I think, is very broad.
Yeah, purposefully.
Right.
Yes.
Who's to say who's an artist and who's not? And we wish every artist could just start out being an artist and make a living. That would be awesome. But we know that's not realistic in a lot of cases of some people who especially leaned into the arts later in their life and started, you know, really honing in on their craft. But we also know that sometimes, you know, the artistry that people do, theater, for instance, let's say, you know, you're in some small productions and what have you, that's likely not paying your bills. So some of those folks are maybe, and some of them are probably full-time actors, but some that are wanting to be, but still realize they have bills and responsibilities at home. So no, you don't have to be full-time because, you know, your artistry and how you do it is your business. We just want to make sure that, you know, the money you're asking for is going to further your career, it's going to further your skill, or, you know, help the community and beautify the community in some way or another.
Right. And I think that, you know, and what we mentioned before Jay arrived off camera is we talked about public art, and that's, you know, a mission of RAC this year is to really, you know, not that it wasn't a mission before, but just, you know, make it a focus. So if you could go deep into that and kind of just tell us a little bit about
this is Chloe's world,
beautifying the city, because that excites us, you know, because we can see it, you know, and that's what's really cool about what tangible. You all do is, you know, you can directly see what you're doing, and that's just a really big impact. Yeah,
public art is exciting. I mean, and St. Louis is really more set up for it than we realize. We do have a % for art ordinance that RAC is looking into learning more about and getting kind of the ropes on to figure out where RAC fits into the process. Like, where are we in this process? What do we need to help people do? Are we funding? What is our role? And so that's something we're currently working on with Justice and Joy, which is a local organization. They're fantastic. And I mean, we're really excited to see that. But I mean, the artist support grants are more kind of, what are you doing to create public art if that's your interest?
Yeah. No, I think that that's awesome. And I know having Vanessa on, you know, a few months ago, and that new direction that you all are heading in, you know, is just really inspiring. And just what you guys do for the community, and not even just artists. I know we've been focusing just on artists today, but, you know, those art programs. If you want to go into, you know, some of these art programs that you all are a part of.
Absolutely. Man, there's just so many good ones. And I do want to mention, on top of the public art deal, you know, we just had this project Insight that is temporary public art displays, but Jacob Stanley's, is it called Ribbons of Light?
Yeah,
Ribbons of Light, and they put all these beautiful neon lights all over the side of a parking garage, and it really got a lot of good press and a lot of good attention because it looks cool.
Yeah,
it's a parking garage. Like, do something.
Exactly. So how do we continue doing that and making that more a permanent thing? You know, they have a beautiful art display that is outside of the new beautiful soccer stadium downtown. You know, they're putting out a new art display outside the Griot Museum that is going to be the first art installation by this artist that he's ever done permanently outside. So there's so many cool things around the city that public art, you know, really, the Mural Mile, I mean, that thing is one of the top website hits for us every single month.
Really?
Like, it's crazy that people just continue to love that sort of stuff.
It's beautiful.
But, you know, something else that I do want to mention, and I will get to your question eventually, you know, whenever I feel like getting around to it. We just got $10.6 million in federal pandemic funds. It's called ARPA. And people have probably, you know, heard a little bit about that money that St. Louis City and St. Louis County has received. So we're going to have a completely different application process for that. So anybody that's thinking or wondering about that money right now, I'm going to ask you to put it back in your mind for a little bit. This is just our normal grant cycle that's funded by the hotel and motel tax. When people come and stay in St. Louis, we get a little bit of that, and then we give it to artists and arts programs and arts organizations in our community. That $10.6 million, we're going to have a totally separate application process for, because it does come with some strings. A lot of strings.
Yeah. And it's, not in our bank.
Yeah,
so we can't give it out if we don't have it.
But it's coming. It's coming. Yeah. So just for anyone, because we have had some questions about that.
Yeah.
But we have some great things coming up. Our Community Arts Training Institute, CAT, which is one of, if not the first type of program in the entire United States when we created this thing back in the 90s.
Yeah.
We just selected 16 people, and actually Vanessa's going to go through it, so technically 17, but she wants to experience it. Amazing. Because it was gone during the pandemic, so she didn't get to experience it.
Yeah.
So she's going to be a part of that. I'm really interested to see how that goes. But that has been dormant for a while, and we just brought that back, so we're really excited. It is an amazing group of people. We have the list on our website, but they are some amazing artists, community folks that are going to come together to figure out how the arts can strengthen what they do and how we can strengthen the community. So that's getting ready to start before too long. And then for all you youngins out there, because I'm old, if you are going to be a junior in college, or you are a junior in college, is it Gio Abada? Is that?
Yeah.
It is junior.
I think it's junior, senior.
Senior.
I think you can be both.
Yeah. So we have this program that puts you in a paid internship all summer long at a super cool arts institution in St. Louis. We had people last year at the National Blues Museum, and they absolutely loved it. At the Contemporary Art Museum, at COCA, Central Print. It's a really cool experience, and you get paid, which is even better. And we are looking at wages for that this year, because we realize you can make $15 an hour at Target. I'm not going to pay you $10 an hour to be an intern. So we are looking at getting that at a more
there's
competitive
a wage increase this year.
But we select 10 people, and every person that's gone through this program has just absolutely loved it and has taken away an experience that is like no other. So applications for that will be opening soon. I don't have a firm date on that, but it is the summer program, and we've had some really great
Is it going to be 10 again? Or are you guys going to?
Yeah, I think so. And I said youngins. I should point out 2 or 3 of our folks last year were adults. I mean, working adults that were going back to college. Okay. Some that had gone to college realized what they went to college for was ridiculous, and then they decided to go back to college to do what they really love, or folks that just waited a while and to go to college. Yeah. So we had some people that were
older.
Yeah, older. One had 3 kids, a husband, family. Got to beat them all.
Yeah. Back at it, doing the damn thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
which is awesome.
So is it local schools, or is that just like local?
Yeah. So it's kind of twofold. If you're from St. Louis, but you go to Truman State, that's fine. Yeah. Likewise, if you're not from St. Louis, but you go to SLU, that's also fine.
Okay. Yeah.
So we're trying to keep it local in those two sort of ways.
The goal was to build up arts administrators in St. Louis. So the priority was that you would hopefully stay here and continue in that work, or at least you'd get some experience in that field, which was lacking at the time.
Make some contacts here.
Exactly.
And we do focus mainly on underrepresented populations. I mean, there is a minuscule amount of arts administrators that are minorities. Even so that, when you look at some of the other groups, how many LGBT people are in, positions of some sort of authority when it comes to an art institution. Right. There's lots of different things, and we had a great diverse group last year, and we fully expect the same this year. Yeah. But you talk to anybody that leads an art organization here in St. Louis, and they will tell you, we can't find people that are qualified to do this job, number one. Number two, to be able to find a diverse candidate that can do that. That number goes down even more. So we're trying to fix that.
Yeah, and that's true, because a lot of the artists that you have in these are in those diverse groups. So it's nice having people that can represent that. But yeah, the work that you all do is just amazing, and just being able to hear it. But I want to kind of go deeper into a little bit more of the grant process. I know you have some notes, Chloe. So Chloe, if you just want to just go, you've been at RAC for 6 years. One of the
longer than anyone at the organization. I might
so the most qualified,
including our CEO.
So funny.
But yeah, just go into it because I just know that, people consume content differently. A lot of people are reading on your website. A lot of people are seeing the little headlines on social media. But I want this episode to really provide value, not only this year, but for years to come. This could be a resource for people because we can cut it up. You know how marketing goes. You can
That's right.
cut us
Chop
out
and
of it.
slice.
Yeah.
Chop and slice. Chop and slice.
Well, you can apply through the website. And then if you do submit your pre-application, we're going to get feedback to you anywhere from February 27th to March 17th. And then when the application closes on March 27th, you should have all of your information in. And then all of those applications will come to us. And essentially what our team will do, the grants team, will review them all for eligibility just to make sure that everybody that went through is actually eligible. So that's when we check all of their verifiable documentation. We want to make sure they live in St. Louis or St. Louis City, St. Louis County. We want to make sure that they've been presenting work. We want to make sure that they're over 19. So we just make sure those things are in place. And then we'll start sending them to reviewers. So our grants team will also read them, but we send them out, like Jay had mentioned, to community members, to people that have worked with us for a while, to people that are new to reviewing grants. And usually they've went through training and they've experienced all of these bias trainings that we'll do. So they know what they're looking for, but also they're checking themselves when they're reviewing to withhold any judgment based on whatever there is. And then they'll give a final rating. RAC staff will collect those back up. We'll configure it all. And then we make recommendations to our commission or the grants committee, and then they're approved. And then we release the list of the names.
Is it a certain amount of people, or it's just the funds are just at rate, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So we budget a certain amount of money and then we go till that money is out.
Yep.
Which is great. Last year we were able to fund all of our program support grant applicants.
Yeah, we bumped up the number a little bit. We figured out where we could find some money so we could fund everybody.
Yeah.
Instead of saying, all right, these 10 can. We're like, no,
we'll find the money.
Let's find some money. Let's have a bake sale. We will figure out what we've got to do here. So that very much could be a possibility this year. But yeah, Chloe's right. It's we've got a budget and all right, how many can we give out?
Yeah. And artist support grantees, usually there's just too many to be able to fund everybody. Last year we had 169. I'm hoping we'll get more than that this year.
I hope so too.
Yeah, I think we will.
And something to keep in mind as well, we get this question a lot, and it's an answer that I wish I could change, but I can't. We can only give grants to people who live in St. Louis City or St. Louis County.
Yes.
That operate in St. Louis City and St. Louis County, I should say. Because by law, that's how we were set up. We were set up to get tax money from St. Louis County, St. Louis City. Thus,
redistribute it.
That's all we can give out to. We would love to help the Metro East. We would love to help St. Charles County, Jeffco, but by law we can't. As it is right now. We get that question quite a bit because we are the Regional Arts Commission of St. Louis. A lot of people think that means the entire metro area.
Yeah.
Perhaps one day. One day we can cross that bridge literally and figuratively. But for right now, that's just what we can do. So I just want to let people know that because it does cause a little bit of confusion sometimes.
Absolutely. So today, as of February 15th, I know you've had events and workshops, over the past, but is there any other things that people that are listening to it today can besides the website, is there any other events and workshops that you guys are hosting, or are those going to be done?
I think they're all done by this point.
They should all be done.
Oh,
they're all recorded. So you can watch them. We even do questions at the end of each session's questions. So, there might be questions that you have that are being answered in those. So those are always good to listen to. And then, of course, you can always email us, give us a call. Most of the time when the when the application is open, I'm just on the phone all day answering questions. Oh, yeah. It's the whole team. Yeah, from you're going to wake up on the phone, you're going to fall asleep on the phone because you're just answering.
Those things close.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Because it's, this year and last year we had artist support grants and program support open at the same time. So just keep in mind that you, along with potentially 200 other artists are applying, as well as up to 100 organizations. So it's an influx of calls and information. So maybe just always check the website. Like there's good stuff
Look at
on
the
there.
website first.
Yeah, look at the website first.
And then you can bother our
But
grants
then
team.
please call us. Yeah.
But it's nice to know that you're there. It's nice to know that you all are committing those times. Like you already know in your schedule, like, hey, this is my time to talk, and I have a priority and an obligation to these.
Yeah, and that's what we do. We open the application. You know, we do all this work up to the application launch, and then we stop and immediately pivot to, okay, now applications are open. The grants team starts working with people to look at stuff. You know, we appreciate the eager folks out there that want to get that application done as quickly as possible and send it over to our grants team for review.
Yeah.
Because sadly, and you know, this is human nature, some folks wait to the last minute, and that just makes their lives a little bit harder. So, and to the point that if you submit it out too late, hey, can you take a review at this 2 days before the deadline? No, we wish we could, but you know, you're fighting against 300, 400 other applications. Yeah, we can't do that.
Can't do the due diligence and give them a proper.
So when they do send it over, what's the time frame look like of like getting that feedback?
Oh, getting the
like if they send it to you, how much time?
Well, with the pre-app, we'll get it to them anywhere from February 27th to March 17th.
Okay.
So as long as we have it by the 20th, you will for sure get feedback by that date. I mean, then after that, it's kind of, you know, if we can get to it, we will get to it. We will answer your question. We just... You know, we hope everybody doesn't wait till the last minute, but we know how it goes. It's hard to make time for this stuff. Yeah, but it is 9 questions, which is new this year. Super exciting. We're really excited about that. And then the artist statement, we asked that they submit an artist statement. So that's just kind of like why you're doing what you do. And we're allowing them to submit a 90-second video this year instead of an artist statement itself. So they can record themselves for performing artists, for anybody that can, you know, speak it better than they can write it.
Yeah. I mean, we're trying to modernize with the rest of the world, and we realize not everybody is great at putting things on paper. Conversely, some people are really good at putting themselves on camera. So to be able to give folks the opportunity this year, I think
it's very equitable.
It's important.
Oh yeah, that's
and everyone's got a phone.
Awesome.
I mean, you can do it on a phone, so it's not like you need video equipment.
It doesn't have to be high quality.
I mean, you know, you can do it on a phone and submit it. And I think that's where a lot of people had trouble last year is trying to tell us about the project. They have it here.
Exactly.
They have it in their brain.
Putting it to paper. Trust me, I know. Like,
it's like, how do you
it's so much harder.
Express what I'm trying to create?
Yeah.
So we're trying to at least make that easier.
I hope other organizations kind of take tips from what you guys are doing with this, you know, and not like just grant organizations, but like just how you're simplifying the process and making it easier, because like there might be an artist that's 20 years in the game and been doing things, and like they just know or they have a team or people that can help them with these grants. Yeah. And hopefully that's what I love about the size of your artist grants, is because it's that accelerator for these smaller artists, newer artists. It's not, you know, and it helps everybody, you know, especially with everything going on. But I think one more question that I have is, I know we use the term artist and we said that's very subjective. So like musicians, like tell us about some of like your non-traditional artists that might apply for these grants. I mean, I know you mentioned photographer.
Puppeteer. That's my favorite. Yeah. Okay. No, I mean, they're, you know,
it's art.
Puppeteering is art. And there are a few folks in the area that 100% do that all the time. So that's what I think about puppeteering. I mean, there's much
Talk
more.
about broad. Yeah.
Anne, our senior grants and programs manager, she's going to kill me for saying this, but I want like a culinary artist to apply. So if you do culinary work,
yes,
I mean, please apply. Or tattoo artist. We haven't had any of those.
Tattoo artists
my definition of artist is very broad. You know, today we have general operating support grantees, and I went and visited Landmarks Association of St. Louis, and they were just, you know, building, their architects. And so they're calling attention to design. And this building that they were in was built in the 1850s. So like, I mean, the definition of art is very broad. It's just, you know, how you're getting it out there.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, architecture is art.
Yeah,
I mean,
designers,
you know, the intricacies that go into a lot of the buildings around here. Comedy.
Totally.
You know, that's one a lot of people don't think about. A lot of people don't think about that.
Yeah.
We're heavily involved with Flyover Comedy Festival. We were this year, but we're going to be even more involved next year.
Yeah.
I'll come on and talk about that at a later time.
Can we get the funny people on?
Oh my gosh.
We'll see you in April.
You can sit over there.
Yeah.
We'll get the funny guys on here.
Yeah, no kidding.
But I mean, you know,
they're fantastic.
It's writing. It's performance. Some comedians use music in their acts. It's music. That's 3 different artistries that I can put right into comedy. So what I would say to anyone out there, it's not just visual arts. It's not just sculptors, theater. You know, we have people that do some very interesting dance performances. You know, so that's something that you should think about in ballet. Literature is one that I don't think a lot of people think art and literature. They just think, well, literature is literature. Like if you're a writer, you're just a writer. Like you're your own group of people. But that's not true.
Yeah.
I mean, writing is an art, and we have had, I can think of at least 2 or 3 from last year that have created, you know, works of art in forms of books, novellas, different things like that. Like, what if someone wanted to do a graphic novel? I would love that.
Yeah.
We could get an artist in the area to create like this
comics,
dope graphic novel that went big. Like, boy, would that be exciting to be a part of.
I think literature was our 2nd largest discipline last year.
I mean,
which you wouldn't know.
Because you know, you have poetry, you have short stories, you have all these different mediums with writing, and people just don't
There's a big
think
scene
about
here for
that.
poetry. I've noticed a lot more poetry nights popping up.
Oh yeah.
And
we have 2 poets on staff right now with Patient MK. So you know, it's not, I mean, it's hard to say what an artist is, you know, everyone will say that, but, you know, I would say more so than not, what you're doing is more likely artistic than not. If you're thinking about applying for a grant, it's not because you're building, you know, swing sets. I don't know. That's saying to my 5-year-old, my 3-year-old, I'm like, what do I know? But hey, if you're building swing sets, it's hard. So I get you. But you know, like when you talk about woodworking, like some of the stuff people can do with woodworking or metalworks, things like that. So man, it really
fiber art.
Fiber art, me, Jay. You know, who's a very talented artist, does some of that. So man, it really just. It's such a wide
fashion for sure.
That's another one that we're really trying to lean into.
We don't get a lot of fashion applications. So I mean, really, if you would apply for fashion, I mean, you'd be one in.
I know a couple amazing girls who create beautiful one of a kind pieces. So
and I think people just don't think that money is there, but it is.
Well, you look at the Met Gala or even the Grammys, you know, that were not too long ago. What does everyone talk about?
Always.
Dresses, or even at the Met, the men's outfits as well, because they're crazy. Those are created by artists. And people talk about it as art because it's super wild
unique,
and, you know,
creative, and a thought went behind it.
But at the same time, like, and that's great, but like there are also people creating things that everyday humans can wear, and that takes thought, it takes design, it takes the artistry. A lot of them draw out their designs and different things. So, fashion. That's a good one.
I don't know that we've ever turned down an artist support grant application because it wasn't art. I don't think that's ever happened. I think it's just because of eligibility or like, you know, they didn't meet the criteria, whatever it is. But never because it's not actually art.
That's interesting. That's great to know. And I think that this is super valuable. And we'll cut this clip because I think this is a good conversation to repurpose on social media because, you know, the fashion designers, like a lot of these people it is their part-time job, but like everybody wants to do what they love doing. And they think of art as just painting, you know, or just, you know.
Or photography. Like that.
But even like photographers don't even realize that they can apply for
I don't think we've had.
Yeah, and I would say too with videographers.
I was going to say, what about video?
I think that's a big opening this year that likely we haven't had a whole lot in the past.
We get a couple media arts applications. That's what we call the discipline is media arts. We get a couple, but not very many.
Yeah, and there's so many content creators in the St. Louis area doing some cool things that, you know, it doesn't have to be about the arts. You know, what they're doing inherently is the arts because they are creating, they're writing, they're editing, they're doing all these things to make a beautiful piece at the very end of whatever they're doing. So, you know, if you are a content creator out there and a videographer, you know, that's something to think about. Now, if you want to do a project about the arts, I'm not going to be angry at you. But
which you've done. There's been a couple people in the past.
We have. So
that's
videography and that's another good opening that I feel that a lot of people are not applying for.
And one thing I really love about the direction you all are heading in this year is, you know, hiring to your media team is like not only, you know, providing grants, but then also highlighting the artists.
Yes.
Using your...
telling their story.
So important.
And what Jason's doing there. And I've already seen a glimpse of it, but I know this year is going to be really... And probably a busy time for everybody right now, but I know that content's going to start coming out.
Absolutely.
And people are noticing, like... at the event the other day, Rocket Supernova, the one that he went, he was like, oh, there's Jason. Like they know, and they're like, they featured me. They came to my studio. Like people aren't doing that. You know, like the news is doing some stuff, but like they're not like coming to the actual artist studio and like showcasing them in a cool way. And what you guys did with Javen, I know you guys collabed on a video with him, and he's amazing too. Yeah. His work. We need to find a way to fund that project that he's working on, the Lutopia project. I don't know if you've talked to him about it.
Not recently.
On the podcast, and I'll have to send it to you. But he wants to do like a South by Southwest.
So cool.
I
mean,
they're incredible.
Wouldn't it be amazing?
Yes.
It would be amazing reality for sure.
That's the
he's
thing.
listening too. He's a heavy listener.
Yeah, you got all these people.
Hi, Javen.
that have these amazing projects that you just want to fund them all. Gosh, you.
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah. And you want to give them way more money than we can give because you believe in it. And you want it, you want to scream it from the rooftop. So RAC has shifted, really hard into the content creation, tell the story of the art space, because if we don't, who will? Now, don't get me wrong, Riverfront Times, St. Louis Magazine, Post-Dispatch, the TV stations, HEC TV, I could list a lot of folks that obviously cover the arts, but we want to talk about it every single day. Yeah. And I know that news outlets just can't do that, like we can. So we're really trying to work with, folks like the Bucket List and other people that can help us spread that message and then start talking about St. Louis outside of St. Louis, start talking to some folks that should travel to St. Louis to come experience the arts from near and far, because we have so much to offer this community, with the arts. And I really do believe that if someone came from Indianapolis and spent the weekend in St. Louis exploring the arts, they're going to walk away going, that was cool.
You told me the story of the Karate Kid. There was a couple people that were in town for that.
Yeah, the whole production crew.
Yeah, the production.
Okay. Yeah, the whole production crew, when they did the Karate Kid, and, now it's in New York playing, which is crazy. But, all of the team that came, the set designers, costume designers, the technical folks that worked the lights and the stage, they fell in love with St. Louis. I mean, absolutely fell in love with it. I mean, some that were already making plans to come back with their families after the production was over with, just because of the heart and soul of this city. It has a bit of grit, but in a good way. It's got all this beautiful architecture, all these, wonderful culture, and art institutions and art programming and artists, but also, great food and cool places to go. And
absolutely.
So we think everyone can have that experience, and we're working towards that. Always.
Yeah.
Is there anything else we should know in terms of the program or the funding?
I would just say that while we don't have a ton of information on the 10.6, we are going to be having a town hall most likely in March where we'll be presenting the opportunities that are available for that. Okay. So maybe this artist support grant isn't for you. You can't make it happen. Your project's not occurring within the dates we, specify. Just attend the town hall in March to learn more about other opportunities if you live in the city.
Okay. Awesome.
Yes, and only the city, sadly.
Only the city for that.
We only got that federal funding from the city of St. Louis. So sadly, our friends in St. Louis County cannot apply for that money, but you can apply for the money we're giving away right now. So we're still giving out, that money that we give out.
Hotel, motel. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, every single year. So please apply.
And that should see a tick up with just all the activity going down. And as we bring more in, and hopefully more people stay here and more people pay their bills on time.
That's right. Pay your bills. Pay your bills.
I've heard about that.
And come stay in St. Louis.
Pay your bills.
Yeah, hotels. And people. But
everyone
mostly hotels.
Please pay your bills.
I just have a question for you, Chloe. I mean, we've asked Jay this before, but it is the STL Bucket List show. Yeah. So we'd love to hear a little bit about more of the people that actually come on the show. So I know I'm putting you on the spot here, but if you have a few spots, let's say one of your friends comes in town, what are a few spots that you're taking on? Where are a few of your bucket lists? Everybody's bucket list is different. So
bucket list. Oh man.
Could just be restaurants.
See, Chloe loves this stuff. I feel like her bucket list is gonna be really good.
I don't know.
But it could be specific events though. It could be a specific
events.
Park.
I mean, I really think I'd take them to the Kemper at Wash U, which is their art gallery. They have got an amazing collection. So I think that's probably what we would do. That in Forest Park as something to do. Let's see. We definitely need to get a coffee. I love Shaw's Coffee on the Hill is great.
Yeah, they're great.
Caldi's is also great, and Blueprint.
Blueprint's
but I
good.
think Shaw's is really where I'd
the
go.
old bank. I
It's in
love
an
it.
old bank, yeah, and they've got a really cool like safe you
And the
can
neighborhood
sit
is
in,
just
and
cool. It's cool
the
being in the
neighborhood
hill.
is cool. Yeah, they've got a great antique market, which is fun. And then I think, oh man,
Where do you take your dogs?
where do I take my dogs?
Like
Forest
you go,
Park, probably.
you go your
I
dog.
mean, yeah, Forest Park. I really like to walk them around Soulard, like the market and stuff. And there's just fun places to like stop around there, like the Protagonist Cafe. All of my places are coffee shops. I don't know what I'm talking about.
I was gonna say, do you have a date night
It's
spot?
so
Do you have
cute.
a-
I mean, a date night spot. I don't live in the city, so like none of my date night spots are out here. But
Yeah.
I mean, I'm trying to think. I love what is it called? It's been so long since I've been there. I think it's in Lafayette Square. Is it One Square Brewery?
Oh, it's we just
Or
drove by.
Modern Square.
we
No.
went there before.
Yeah.
Is it Modern Square?
One day.
It's not Squire.
Square One.
No,
Square
yeah.
Square One.
Yes.
There we go.
One
you had
Square.
It. You had it.
I did.
And
I
that's
just
a great
flipped
neighborhood.
it.
We just were over there the
Yeah.
other day by
Yes,
Bailey's
we were.
Chocolate Bar, and like just that's a pretty neighborhood in
Yeah.
itself.
Oh, it's
Like,
just so fun to look at the houses and drive
just like
by.
that.
It's
That's a
beautiful.
fun park too in there. Yeah. But that's a good date night spot.
Yeah.
Square One. Yeah.
well, there you go.
Yeah.
I didn't want to put you on the spot, but we like
No,
to
it's
ask.
okay.
But he did.
Yeah, it's fine.
But we
It's fine.
But we did it.
We did.
Yeah.
You know, we try to get personal. That's what we love about our shows. Just
Yeah.
really showcasing, you know, people that live here and what people do, and just providing
Yeah.
value. So, other than that, if Jay or you guys want to wrap up, just say anything like where people can find you guys.
Yeah,
Yeah.
our website, rackstl.org. We update it constantly. We've got all the wonderful information you need to apply for a grant, to apply for a program, to learn more about the arts in St. Louis. And if you do have any questions, reach out to our grants team, grants@rackstl.org. You know, you do those two things, you should be good to go. Of course, follow us on socials because we're posting on there all the time, especially Instagram and Facebook. But
Absolutely.
no, thanks for having us. We're so glad that we
Great job,
can
guys. Thank you.
talk about
Thank
this.
you.
This is an exciting time of the year for us.
Yeah.
A busy
Yeah.
time of the year for us,
Grants.
but it's exciting and we
It's
can't
grant
wait.
season, baby.
And then
Right.
Grant
after
season.
grant season, there's going to be a big opportunity for us to get artists on here on the show, and then
Yeah.
also the Open Highway Festival. There's some people, you know, Counter
Yeah.
Republic that we might be talking to after
Yeah,
this.
great.
So no, it's just really awesome, and thank you guys for listening to episode 51 of the STL Bucket List Show.
Today they rep St. Louis, yeah. They rep St. Louis. They rep St. Louis.